I was not valued in the workplace because I was seen as lazy and quiet and not very careful. But I could always solve problems rapidly in unorthodox ways, and I think that this wasn't utilized as much as they could have. This wasn't prided. Nobody valued this aspect of the way that I think. I was expected um, to be very limited in the sensory way, and I just felt like my mind was being beaten. I mean, I was overstimulated as well by this office environment. It was, I don't say this in any pathological way because I know people think that the way I speak sometimes on my channel, you get comments like, "Are you autistic?" It's just lack of comfort, I think, and lack of ease on camera expressing things. And having too many thoughts going too fast. It's not, I don't have autism, but I do get overstimulated by socializing because I'm sort of hypervigilant, just because of the way I think. And I spent a long time isolated, so I have, like my normal mode of being, my introverted thought process feels very, very roughly attacked being in an office environment, or like I can't really think in the way that I want to think or the way that I'm used to thinking, and people aren't gentle, and I'm struggling to appease everybody. It's like I go into extroverted feeling overdrive, and I can't. I'm too porous, and I feel like the whole world is just coming through me, and I can't escape it. And I'm not. I'm very nervous, and it's very hard. But where am I going with this? It's not autism, but yeah, people, they have to fit this unorthodox way of thinking into like a framework of insufficiency, inefficiency, mental illness, and it's not. It has its own relevance and beauty, and it's just, where can you find somewhere that this can be used and where you can be appreciated? Because a lot of jobs, not to be a Marxist, which am I a Marxist? I don't know. Maybe that's a subject for another video, because I do think there's a lot of value in Marx, although I was never inclined to the left or socialism in that way. But I think, not in the stereotypical culture wars way, but I think that there is value in, in the idea that the work, it's alienated and fragmented and sort of like a fake symbolic thing that for some reason people are taking this symbolic reality as factual, and then like, how can you be a person in the workplace, or how can you do any actual work? Like, what is the actual work? Where is it going? What's the point in it? It just all feels really like a huge waste of time, and aggressive, almost like an aggressive waste of time. If an intuitive is bad at maths or is struggling in an intellectual way, it's because we're so used to this sensory world, and it's been taught really badly by people who have constrained it into this like limited step-by-step arbitrary instruction constraint way. It's not, you haven't been allowed to fly into the abstraction and the beauty and the imagination and your own personal explorations of it. It's just in a disconnected, rigid, really, really dull way of teaching, or forcing, browbeating you with this dullness and turning it into something that it isn't, because we're at home in the symbolic, in the theoretical, in the world of possibilities, not necessarily realities, but in this diffuse symphysis thing. This is really meaningful and beautiful, and where we can relate to others from, and where we can relate to the world, and where we can you shouldn't get too lost in it, because you can become delusional, or you can become bombastic and arrogant and irritating if you're not interfacing with the environment and others around you. Yes, there is a risk of being selfish and inefficient and letting others down and being unreliable, but then also you have to find like a balance between these two things. And I might make a video on this balance, because it's something that I'm looking into recently. So my friend Francesco, who I'm really close with and I do the Fear and Trembling podcast with, he says that the devil attacks you in your strength. So if your strength is thinking in this abstract way, then the devil is And, you know, if you don't believe in God, and I never know how to express what I personally believe, because again, it's all these concepts, but, you know, if you don't believe in God, just see it as symbolic and then take the truth from that. But the devil attacks you where your strengths are. So if your mind is very strong and intellectual and abstract and you're in love with ideas, you will become paranoid, suspicious, arrogant, disconnected, and alien through living in these ideas. You know, this is where your strength is, and this is also where your weakness is, and you will get to in your head. And yes, your head is your strength, but your strength is also, yeah, that's where the devil's going to get you, if anyone.